it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Craft. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the UK. Thank you very much for joining me again today. I've got some exciting news later on, so don't rush away. I'm going to start by showing you how I made this card. This is for the Stampers Showcase blog hop, which is on a theme of It's Your Birthday. So this is obviously a birthday card. I've actually made it for a friend to give to a friend of hers, and that one is specifically a 70th birthday, but I will just be making the one that I'm doing now as just a birthday. I'm using the Ornate style stamp set, which will be coming soon, and this is the main stamp that I've used, but I've also used this little stamp just in the bottom corner, just for a little bit of a change and some interest on the inside. So let me show you how I've done this. It is heat embossed, so I'm going to have to cough. One day this cough will go away. It is not corona, it is just a cough. I've had it for weeks, and I think I probably started it before we had our first case of coronavirus in the UK, and I don't travel overseas. So yeah, I'm going to use the Stamparatus, just because then it means that I know I'm going to get a really good impression. So I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock in here. I'm going to heat emboss, so I'm going to use Embossing Buddy. I always keep my Embossing Buddy with my Versamark, so I know that it is available and ready to go. I'm going to just pop magnets on, just to make sure we don't get any movement. I have not got the mat on my Stamparatus because it's a red rubber stamp, and for the red rubber stamps you don't need the mat. If you're using photopolymer, you would need the mat. So I'm just going to ink this up with Versamark. I'm going to stamp it twice, just to make sure that I get a really good covering of Versamark. So once although looking at it, it actually doesn't look too bad, so I think I'll just leave it at that and not tempt Providence. So get rid of my Stamparatus, bring in my gold embossing powder, and introduce one to the other. So I'm filming this ahead of time. Obviously it's not Facebook, it's not YouTube Live, so obviously I'm filming this ahead of time. Not as far ahead as I had hoped. Life has rather taken over. You would think that as we are in isolation in the UK, that would mean that I had less to do. No, it just means that everything I need to do takes longer. So going to the supermarket, because we're not allowing more than a certain number of people in each supermarket, there are queues, although I have to say I didn't have to queue for too long. But, you know, you have to just build all this into your schedule. So, yes. Right, trusty cheese board and heat tool. While I'm making a noise, do remember that if you don't already subscribe, I would be absolutely thrilled if you would. Bottom right hand corner, there's a subscribe button. I may go back and redo that daisy. We'll see how it goes, because this one's not wonderfully inked. Although, I don't know, it looks alright. Last little bit. Turn the heat tool off. hang it back up on its special little hook. And there we go. No, that's going to be fine. Okay, so I decided I would use a blender pen and ink pads because you can, and not everybody has blends. I would also say that if you're doing heat embossing, you don't actually want to use your blends straight over your heat embossing. The alcohol breaks it down a bit, so you need to... I will be showing you a technique for getting that all sorted out. You can reheat. Does make a bit of difference, but I just find that by reheat I mean you do your colouring and then you reheat it, and it kind of breaks it down a bit, but yeah, I don't know. So I'm just going to use my old olive. I think I used the blends on the previous one, but I'm going to use my blender pen for this. Just remember not to go over one area too much, because you could end up pilling your paper. I just want to add a bit more shading on this one. So if you do want to go over, wait until one area is dry before you go back over it. Then you'll be less likely to pill the paper. And I will show you what I mean by pilling the paper in a moment. So where you think there's going to be shadow, that's where I would start with your colour. I want a bit more depth of colour there. So what do I mean by pilling my paper? So actually I'm going to find a scrap. Famous last words, there we are, that's a scrap. Ooh, well, you'd think it was a scrap. Come on, out you come. Right, so this is a scrap. This is tomorrow's video, one of tomorrow's videos. So if I colour here and keep going and keep going, yeah, I can feel it's just going. This is what happens. Not beautiful, can you see that? It's gone all fuzzy. That's what is called pilling. Not a great look. But as you can see on this card, because this is the smooth Whisper White, you can go over a little bit more than you would on, say, the thick Whisper White. The thick Whisper White will break down sooner. This is rolled specifically so that it's nice and smooth for stamping on, whereas the thick Whisper White is deliberately thicker but is not as smooth, so the surface is less sealed. Sealed is not the right word, but you get what I mean, I hope. So tomorrow, those of you who follow me regularly will be thinking it's Top Tip Tuesday, but because I want to introduce new stampers to the, or paper crafters to the joys of papercraft, while we are in lockdown, it's quite useful time to think about a new hobby. And this is a great way to spread some joy, because you can make cards and send them to friends and family who you won't be seeing for a while. And it's a lovely thing to get in your postbox. So yeah, I'm doing Tutorial Tuesday instead, so it's going to be kind of basic stuff, and I'm deliberately choosing items from the beginner's brochure because it's the beginner's brochure, really. So that's kind of what all I want of the green. Just make sure I've got all the little bits. Yep. So clean off your blender pen just by scribbling it, and then pop that to one side, and then sew saffron. Now the colours in the designer series paper, which I will be using a little bit of, are Old Olive, Early Espresso, Terracotta Tile, and Bumblebee. Now Bumblebee, my guess is going to be a new in colour. So that will be something to look forward to. So that will be one of the colours that will replace Pineapple Punch, Blueberry Bushel, Call Me Clover, Lovely Lipstick, and oh, my brain's gone. Pineapple, oh, Grapefruit Grove. That's the one that I was missing. I had to go and check the colours, and it was Grapefruit Grove that was missing. Right, so I've done a kind of darker centre, and then from there I'm going to do paler petals. They're not pale, but they are paler. I'm thinking of these as primroses. The leaves certainly look quite like primroses, and primroses certainly in the UK, and I do mean primroses rather than primulas. So I'm thinking wild primroses. They are a lovely pale yellow. They are gorgeous. We have some in our garden, which my husband thinks of as weeds and I think of as pretty flowers. So he digs them out of his lawn where they seem to have taken seed, and I put them into my flower bed. So it works well. We spread the things around. As you can see, it's really easy colouring with the heat embossing as well. You know, you can just go over the lines and you're not going to smudge them, because we're using the blender pen and not blends. If you used blends, you would actually break down the surface. Not a great look. Okay, so petals. I'm kind of thinking sort of daisy-esque, but not. Daisies are white, and I don't want them to be white. So maybe, are they called marguerites? That sort of thing. But again, a kind of pale yellow. I'll come back in to do the centre in a moment. But really quick, easy colouring. So, other things to remember are that tomorrow I start my Tuesday coffee and card sessions. These are actually a replacement of coffee and card face-to-face, which I do in a local coffee shop on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month. Obviously I can't at the moment because coffee shops are closed. So I can't decide whether to put yellow in the middle of those. No, I think I'm going to come in with the terracotta tile. So to get the ink in the middle, did I show you? You just squeeze the pad into the lid. So yes, because I can't do coffee and card face to face, I'm going to be doing virtual coffee and card. So if you fancy joining me for that, it will be at 11 o'clock UK time. We changed our clocks at the weekend, so we went forward an hour. So do bear that in mind. I have had one request as to what time is that in the States. That, of course, depends on where you are in the States. I think if I've got my conversion right, it's 6 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. But I will be recording the videos, so if you can't catch me live, you will be able to catch me on repeat. And I will also be uploading them to my YouTube, because I know not everyone is on Facebook. It just means you won't get the live experience, but I am hoping, if I can work out how to schedule properly on YouTube, as in schedule live on YouTube, that I will be doing some live crafting on YouTube as well. And then just another of these. And I love how with the blender pen you can just come out and you get paler shades further out. So you just start and then go out, and the ink obviously fades off from your blender pen. So I'm doing cards for people in the village, so anyone who can't get out, because we're allowed to go out for, you know, urgent stuff like food, but anyone who can't get out or is in the group that are being asked to self-isolate for 12 weeks, I am making cards for them to send to their friends and family so that they can keep in touch. So I just, get them to email me or phone me with what they want, and then I can drop them off when I do my daily exercise. And at the moment, my daily exercise seems to be dropping cards off to people, which is great. So yes, so that's that. Gosh, that took 15 minutes. The rest of it is really quick. So that's the colouring. I've already cut a rectangle of one of the designer series papers. This is the back side. And I'm going to cut this down. I'm using the stitched rectangles, and I seem to have managed to... Oh, it's that one. Yeah, so I need this one to cut this out. So I will be back momentarily. My die cutter is set up, ready to go. So we'll wind that through. And there we go. So really easy to do. When you're die cutting rectangles or anything with a straight edge, I would suggest you put it through at an angle if you can. It just makes it easier for the die cut to run through, and it actually gets a better die cut. So I'm going to pop that on there. You can see I'm changing up the colours. Now, you can use your blends over this paper. So you could use your So Saffron blend, but you can also use your Stampin' Write markers. You could use a blender pen, but because I only need a small amount colouring, because I want this to be matching the yellow, I'm just going to go round the edge with my Stampin' Write marker, and I've got it on its side rather than using the point, and just... Now you could do this with a paint dauber, a sponge dauber. You could do it with one of our stamping sponges. But there we go. So we now have So Saffron and gold. What I would just do is grab a piece of kitchen paper or a rag and then just go over to make sure you've got any ink off the gold foiling, because otherwise it could smudge onto the rest of your project. I have already die cut, this time in Mint Macaron, which is one of the colours I've embossed using the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder. Now this is the one you need the blue embossing plate for, so do bear that in mind. Now the one thing I didn't check is, aha, I did. Oh, no, that's Daffodil Delight. Or is it? No, there we go. There's So Saffron, because I wanted a So Saffron card base. Because for this one, I want to reverse the colourways. So this is just half a sheet of A4 scored. And there we go. Don't need my scrap anymore. Actually, I do. I do need my scrap because I need to do the inside. So, I forgot! Let's pop those bits to one side. So for the inside, I'm going to use Family Party and one of the corner dies. I used this one on the previous one. I'm actually going to use this because it's a nice little corner piece. And I'm going to do that in, let's see, I might do that in So Saffron. So grab a block and yeah, so just stamp that. Might as well put it in both of the bottom corners. There we go. And as I say, I'm going to use Family Birthday for the birthday bit. So I want happy and birthday. So that's birthday. This is a brand new stamp set to me. I've been looking at it for a long time and I've only just got around to ordering it. I keep forgetting to order things that I want. So, birthday. and happy. Don't want that. I'm going to use terracotta tile because it's a nice, or I could use early espresso. Yeah, I'm going to use early espresso. Let's introduce another colour. So now these are new, so I'm just going to make sure that I've got any film off them just by rubbing them on the back of my hand and then putting them back on crooked, not what I wanted to do. So ink that up. Birthday. And then again, now you can use a white eraser, but or just clean them incredibly well before you use them for the first time, just to make sure you get the film that is put on for the release. When they're put in the mould, they have a spray, and you want to get that off because they resist. It's a resist, so surprisingly it doesn't stick very well to glue, ink. Good grief, my brain. Okay, so let me bring in my bits and pop the card together. So let's pop the inside in first. So, is that right? Yes. Just wanted to make sure that if there was a short and a long piece, that the long piece was at the front. As it is, there isn't. So, pop that in. Joys of liquid adhesive. Wiggle room. There we go. So that's that. Press from the back and layer all this up. So again, now I'm going to use a bit more glue than I would normally use for a mat because this is embossed. There isn't, you know, you might be hitting the dents rather than the raised bits with your glue, so it's better to put down a little bit of extra glue just to make sure. And then again, I'm going to use a bit more than I would normally for the same reason. And then I'm going to have this, because this is a North American size die, or proportioned die, I'm going to make sure that the top is even and not worry about the bottom. Your eye will allow you to have a bigger gap at the bottom. If you've ever done any picture framing, quite often the frame will have a bigger matte piece at the bottom. So your eye is quite... Ooh! Other way up. Let's put this on the right way up, shall we? Good grief. You'd think I did this for a living. So just press that down and grab some glitter dots. I have got some more, but I am running low on this sheet. But I just want to add a few little shimmery bits. I love these. These were part of the Christmas Rose release, and I believe they are still available at my online store. So that's always good to know, because they're lovely and flat for posting. They don't add too much depth. So there you go. You know what I'm going to ask, don't you? Do you prefer this one or this one? So let me know in the comments below. Dimensions and all that good stuff are below. So I'm going to be looking at doing some some card packs to go, as in kits. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And I will have that information later this week. I've also got the Stampin' Glam Squad tutorial for March is now available. So if you've ordered from me and your order was at least £45, you will be getting that any day now. If you would like it for free, then place an order for £45 or more before the end of the month, which is tomorrow, and I can get that off to you. If you would like to buy it from me, then you can do that over on my website, and I'll have a link to that from today's post, which is linked below. And it's, from memory, £15. There's 16 amazing projects from some of the best designers across the Stampin' Up world globally. So do go and have a look at the little bit of information I can give you on that. They are exclusive. The only way you can get to see these projects is either by placing an order or buying the tutorial. We do not show the projects anywhere else. That is the only place you will see them. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Do remember to give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe. Questions and comments below. Thank you very much indeed, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!